Hey everybody, I'm Somm Wine Guy, and I've got some wine for you. This is the 2018 Revancha Malbec from Mendoza in Argentina. This is a wine that comes with a story. And you all know how much I love stories, and I will say that tasting this wine, I did not really understand the name. I didn't really understand the history of it, and I didn't really understand its significance. So I'm going to start there today. So revancha in Spanish means replay or rematch, and interesting enough name. On the label, they've got this like kind of chess piece icon of a pawn. But then I started reading and I started looking at some of the back label, and I read some of the information about the winemaker and about the history of it. So the winemaker and owner of the winery is a gentleman named Roberto de la Mota. So he is an Argentinian winemaker who is also the winemaker of a famous Mendoza winery called Mendel. And in 2007, he was in a life-changing car accident. He was on his way back from Patagonia, where he was consulting at another winery, and he hit some black ice and slid off the road and had a terrible accident. And he ended up being paralyzed from the waist down. First thing he asked the doctors when he was in the hospital was, how am I going to go visit the vineyards? It was that important to him that he maintained his life, his connection to the wineries that he had been working in for his entire life. Roberto's father was a gentleman named Raul de la Mota, who was another famous winemaker in Argentina and was the winemaker for Bodegas Weinert, which at the time in the 1970s and 1980s was one of Argentina's most esteemed wineries. And Roberto took up his father's kind of work and continued and had worked for wineries like Terrazas de los Andes, Cheval de los Andes. He worked for the LVMH and Chandon project in Mendoza. So this is a guy, as a man with serious pedigree, and like I said, one of the most acclaimed winemakers in Argentina. So this is a radical change to not have the use of your legs, to be in a wheelchair. And so in 2009, when he was working at Mendel, his son asked him if he could have some money to upgrade his bike. He wanted to upgrade the suspension on his mountain bike. And rather than just giving him the money, he said, well, why don't you sit down and do the blends for me or with me? And you'll earn the money to pay for your mountain bike upgrades that way. So his son and him kind of did the blends for Mendel together. And it was from that, and then a wine that they then created together that was put away. That was the beginning of Revancha. So they tasted the wine later, and it was really ended up being quite good. And so his son later went to agronomy school and has now also kind of followed in his grandfather's and his father's footsteps and is becoming a winemaker in his own right, working together with his dad. So you have Roberto de la Mota and Rodrigo de la Mota and Revancha, his second chance, his replay, his rematch at a life after this serious life-changing incident. So their wine is, they all have, like I said, that little chess piece on there. This one is peon, which is pawn, and I'm going to probably terribly translate this, but it does have some words written in the shape of the pawn. And it's you know what? I don't think I can. Oh, the pawn is a warrior giving his life for balance of the kingdom. The wine is forward and brave, young in essence and life, impacting its character and expressing its variety. So this is the best introduction to, I think, the estate. So this is Malbec with a little bit of Cabernet Franc, about 4% Cabernet Franc. Cabernet Franc will add a little bit more kind of spice, a little bit more black fruit, a little bit more kind of meatiness to it as well. And then aged in 50% new French oak for 12 months, just to give a little bit of oak character, but not overt. So let's see. So yeah, I don't get a ton of oak on the nose. This is also a 2018, so this is the current vintage that's available in market, but it's starting to show a little bit of secondary characteristics, some dried fruit, some earth, some kind of woodsy character to it, which I really quite like. I think Malbec has so much fruit when it's young that it's really nice to see it with just a little bit of that fruit kind of toned back. It's still there. Lots of blackberry, lots of black plum, this kind of coffee note to it, like fresh ground coffee. It has this kind of like almost smokiness to it, which I really, really like. I think that's great. The tannins are so integrated. They're present. Like you take a second sip and you feel kind of the tannins start to build on the roof of your mouth. It just has a little bit of grip, but Malbec is not known for having super aggressive tannins. It is a kind of vibrantly fruity, medium tannin wine with great acidity, great color. Like I said, this wine is fairly deep in color, even though it is now 5 years old. I can't really see fully through the wine, which pretty characteristic for Malbec. And that oak character is present but not overwhelming. So there's a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of toasty spice, a little bit of clove, cinnamon. I think that's spectacularly well balanced, and a great expression of terroir and a great expression of the place. This is coming from vineyards in Altamira. Has really given some depth and some complexity to the wine in this case. Oh, and such a great food wine. That's another of the things that I love so much about Malbec, especially Malbecs in this style where it's juicy and fresh and has great acidity. That kind of layers of spice and the moderate tannins means that you can throw something kind of a little bit spicy, with a little bit more kind of layers of warming spices. Maybe not like hot spice. Like don't dump Szechuan peppercorns in your wine. That's not going to turn out well for anybody. But things like North African or Middle Eastern or Indian can work really, really well with Malbec because they need the acidity to help cut through fat and protein, but also you're building layers of spice on top of layers of spice. And so something like a lamb tagine, where you've like spiced that lamb with cumin and cloves and paprika and cinnamon, and you have the slow cooking to kind of render out any of the fats. So this kind of wine just gives you this beautiful mouth coating texture. Mm. There's so much opportunity here. This wine doesn't need to age any further, I don't think. It's got potential for another couple of years of development, but I think that this wine is in a really great spot right now where it's kind of on that kind of peak point of losing some of the fruit and moving into more earthy and savory elements. And if you want to capture that kind of snapshot in time, this is the time to drink it. Uh, Again, another story that I am happy to have discovered and get to share with all of you. I hope that you enjoy the Revancha Malbec from Mendoza, and if you want to check out the rest of Revancha's wines, they have their La Grande, their King, Cabernet and Malbec, and a couple of other wines that are available in market that are really, really interesting. So I definitely suggest checking out more Revancha, and checking out wines that I include in the Somm Wine Club boxes if you're interested. So thanks very much. We'll see you guys next time.